our effort level on defense and our rebounding. And you know what? If you're a good team, you can't ever let your offense dictate your defense. And first half in particular was frustrating for us. And I thought we kind of hung through and kept fighting all the way through. And I thought Tajay in the second half was a real spark for us, the way he can be, like as a getting a rebound, pushing it up, hustle play, defends, blocks his guy, blocks someone else, impacts the game. And so I thought it was a good win. I told our guys I was proud of them.
Coach, so whenever they came out in the first half, and I think they knocked down 5 of their first 6 threes, they were just kind of reining everything in. What'd you tell the team to kind of help them weather that storm until they buckled down?
You just said we had to adjust on Darius Austin. It's not like he started out 2 for 2 and he shot them quick, and that's not necessarily who he's been. Although it's not like he's been incapable. He was shooting 40% coming in, but he wasn't a high volume guy, and he's very good off the dribble. And I just said let's adjust on him. Let's get a little tighter on him. But other than that, just make sure every one they shoot is tough. The guy we were dialed in on was Jeremiah Jefferson. He's the guy that historically has been their best three-point shooter, and he's the one guy that's very high volume. And we did a great job on him. He was 1 for 6. But I just said that's the game of basketball. If they're hard shots, you live with the consequences.
Coach, I think you had 11 turnovers in the first half. How difficult was it to face their defense? It seemed like they were pretty extended.
Yeah, they were pesky. And they're not only they're pesky, but they're very different than what you normally see. They started out in like a 1-2-2, and then once you made a couple passes, they were like in a man-to-man or matchup zone, whatever you want to call it. They switched everything, but they all started marking up to men. And when you drove, they really collapsed. And when we threw the ball into the post, they really collapsed. And so that was different. And then the thing they're very good at, like if you look at their numbers to this point, they're very good at turning people over. If you look at their stats through whatever many games, the 12 games that they've played, I mean, they're like plus 60 turnovers with the schedule they've played all on the road. And with the way they do it is they smack at the ball. When you dribble the ball and they're smacking at it like crazy, and they foul a lot, but they get a lot of steals. And I thought, again, that was an adjustment for us, and it just took us a little while to get accustomed to the way they were doing. And if you look, our second half numbers were great. 56% from the field, 50% from 3, only 5 turnovers in the second half. We were much better in the second half.
I thought they were pretty physical on Trey. It looked like that was part of their game plan. I think good for him going forward to face that kind of pressure inside. Guys really hounding him and slapping.
Yeah, they really slapped at him, and that's something for us to watch because Trey gets, he's such a good passer, but he'll sometimes hold the ball out there with one hand and be a little casual with it, and he got stripped a couple times. And also they clearly were well aware of his ability to pass. And so you'll start seeing more and more people, because he's got 11 assists in the last 2 games, trying to pressure the heck out of him because it can limit his ability to pass the ball.
Another thing I noticed that they're good at is offensive rebounds. How big was that for the way that you guys dominated the glass tonight?
Yeah, I thought that was good. They shot the ball well tonight, and I'll have to go back and watch the film and get a sense of how much of that was us and how much of that was them. And but that was the one area we didn't defend well. But Trey and Tajay can be imposing, and they were both imposing on the glass, and they were both imposing when they got the ball inside. And those guys, when they're together out there, they got real size, and were hard to score on. They shot something like 30% inside the arc tonight, and only shot 4 free throws, which coming off of the night before for us, where again we didn't give up many free throws. And I think that you're seeing the advantage of us playing with real size in there.
Not that you would look past Florida A&M, but you have 7 days now before you play them, and then conference play starts.
Yeah.
So how much of the next 7 days can you devote a little bit to maybe your assistants more than you to some of the early MAC teams and take a look at that?
They will certainly. The one that has my attention right now is Eastern Michigan, because they're first, and also their style is so unique. They're not a team you can really prepare for in 48 hours. And so I will devote some of the next 3 days to them to make sure that we have the right plan. And we may have to address some of those things on December 26th. We'll have to see. I haven't watched Florida A&M yet. I don't know if there's similarities, but we won't pay any attention to anyone besides them. But I heard Steve Hawkins say it one time. He said, when you play Eastern Michigan, you have to take all your traditional zone offense and throw it out the window. And you got to have something you're going to run against them because the way they play, again, is so unique. It's one of the great things about college basketball. It's so different than the NBA is. In college, you're going to see, this crazy extended 2-3. Tonight, you're going to see a matchup zone and a little, half-court pressure. And we have, you see so many varieties of different ways of playing in the NBA, and it's obviously the best basketball in the world, but it's man-to-man, and the only question is whether they're going to down the pick and roll, jump the pick and roll, switch the pick and roll, the adjustments are much more subtle, and you don't see, and there's a small amount of, there's zone and all that stuff, but very little. College, it can be such a different game every night, and Eastern Michigan is a very different game, and I haven't checked out Florida A&M yet.
Besides Eastern Michigan, who in the conference has kind of caught your eye, either a score or?
Really, all four of our
games?
first games, catch my attention. Eastern Michigan, Buffalo, Western Michigan, Ohio is our first four games. And all four of those teams, if you would have said to me on paper, who are four of the best teams in the league, you would have said those four. And then, Kent beat just did Oregon State. I thought Akron's off to a good start. And, Toledo's always talented. They just added a player at the semester. But to me, our first four games they're probably the four highest computer metric teams right now in the league, and probably the four highest KenPom teams out there. And that's who we play, 1, 2, 3, 4, to start the league. And so it's going to be an interesting start for us. We're going to have to be ready, to say the least.
Coach, just something else from tonight. You guys racked up 29 bench points. So what's that do for the confidence of those other five guys that whenever they come into the game, they can hold the fort down? Going forward, what's that do for you?
I think it's good. One of the things that I thought was big for us tonight is, we didn't put Taylor back in the second half. And Ish came in, and we not only didn't miss a beat, played great, when he was in there. And that's really been our team all year. We have, we're a D team. We're only playing 10, which as a coach can make you nervous. 2 nights ago, 2 of those guys were out, and you start running out of bodies. And you have Josh Thompson as an 11th. He would be the next guy in line. And but we are playing 10, and all 10 have had moments where they've really done a great job for us.
Coach, I know a couple games ago you made the switch, put Trey in the starting lineup, bringing Tajay off the bench. Have you liked what you've seen from those two in their new spots so far? Yeah,
I thought Trey's deserved it based on the way he's been playing, and like I told Taj, he played 23 minutes tonight. It's not really impacting his minutes. And I just thought it gave our team the best chance to win. And all 3 of those guys are essentially starters. In my eyes, they're all almost always playing starter-type minutes. And but someone had to come off the bench, and Kyle gives us a different element on offense. He stretches you out. And then but Tajay's done a great job coming off the bench, and Trey's been playing well. This was a very hard game for big guys to play in the way they played. I talked to our bigs at halftime because you could see their frustration. This wasn't a game when ball went inside, they were doubling, in there, and they were switching pick and rolls and trying to front. It's not like there wasn't a whole lot of ways that we could say, I didn't have a lot of things I could tell them. I said, hey, you got to play without that. Everybody's going to have their games, and this is a frustrating game for bigs because of the way they were playing. And I said, you just got to impact the game in other ways. Find other ways besides scoring to have a huge impact on the game. And I thought both of those guys really did it in the second half, which I was really proud of them for.
Anything else? All right, Coach.
Nolan, go ahead.
What did it feel like?
What did it feel like to win the game? Or what did it feel like to watch Star Wars?
Watch the game.
I was proud of our team. Winning is always, is always great, and I was proud of our team for the way we played, and we get to go into Christmas with a good win.
That'll be fun.
And
Have a
he didn't
good
get any
break.
technical fouls.
Yeah.